Hey guys, Breastfacts and I always talk about creative ways to ruin your AR, such as by setting it up for use with night vision. Adding a laser module to your rifle forces you to add weight and bulk to the front end. It might force you to change the way your tape switches are set up so you can control your light and laser. It also may force you to omit a backup front iron sight. Laser aiming modules, even the mediocre civilian legal ones, are very expensive, so you end up taking a lightweight maneuverable rifle, ruining it, and you pay $1,000 or more for the privilege. Suppressors are kind of similar. When you add a suppressor to the end of the gun, not only are you spending a lot of money on the suppressor and the tax stamp, but you are also ruining the way the gun handles and shoots. Traditional suppressors add a ton of back pressure to the system, so your gun is going to run really hard unless you find a way to tune it. Also, whether you tune the gun or not, you're still going to get a lot of back pressure to the face because, as we've talked about before, most of the gas that you get to the face is coming out of the barrel, not out of the gas system, which is one of the big reasons why external piston ARs are snake oil. And your reward for putting up with all this stuff is a gun that is still loud, so you have to wear hearing protection anyway. Suppressors, like with laser aiming modules, ruin guns, but we put up with it anyway because we want those additional capabilities. We did a video on the Nova Group a while back talking about our 11.5 AR setups because everybody's got one. And in that video, I said that the Hux Flow 556K is the only suppressor that doesn't make your gun any worse. So we're going to be talking about flow-through or low back pressure suppressors today, mostly the Hux 556K Flow. Let's go for it.
This video has been brought to you by our channel sponsor, Venture Surplus. Staying comfortable, or at the very least alive during the winter, is a matter of layering. As Les Stroud, the Survivor Man, always says, if you sweat, you die. That means you need to be able to shed your waterproof outer layers in order to get a little bit of breathability back. But you don't want to lose all of your insulation. So you start with a base layer, aka thermals. Remember, Grantham always says, if you don't have thermals, you're going to die. And I think this is what he was talking about. This layer is closest to your skin, and it doesn't lose its insulating properties when it gets wet, like, for example, a cotton t-shirt would. Above that, you have a warming layer, which serves to keep you insulated and warm, but does not provide any sort of moisture trapping capabilities on its own, meaning that it's not going to work well in the rain. And on top of that, you have your moisture layer. Depending on your level of activity and the ambient conditions, you have to swap between your outer layers while maintaining your inner layer, and hopefully you keep yourself both dry and warm. Putting together several layers of high-quality winter clothing can be very expensive. However, if you go to Venture Surplus at the link in the video description and use the code provided, you can save 10% off your order, and you can put together a winter clothing kit that is high quality, made in the United States, and does not break the bank. Of course, it's possible that you live in one of those states where it doesn't get cold and wet at the same time, in which case I want you to know that nobody likes you. For everybody else, Venture Surplus is your source for American-made military surplus gear and clothing. Check them out in the video description. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you had a great Christmas. Let's get back to the show. Flow-through suppressors got off to a bad start. The whole concept developed an early reputation for basically not doing anything. Everybody said they were loud and flashy, and if you don't care about hiding flash or making your rifle quieter, why not just get the good old Dead Air Sandman K? I don't know whether this perception was actually based on shortcomings with older flow-through designs, or if it was just fear-mongering from guys who didn't want to commit to investing time and money into an unproven technology, since the NFA registry has kind of a no-take-backsies feel to it. Either way, I didn't want to be a beta tester for this stuff. Doesn't help that low back pressure cans are really expensive, and I'm operating on more of a Yankee Hill budget. I think Huxworks is keenly aware of the skepticism the market has for their suppressors, so they've sent a bunch out to gear reviewers to get some attention that wasn't just speculation and FUD, and I was one of those lucky several. Suppressors are awesome for signature reduction, shooting around other people without making them hate you, and staving off the hearing loss that's an inevitable side effect of having a loud hobby. Most suppressors also make your gun extremely unpleasant to shoot. The extra back pressure added by the suppressor causes the gun to run hard, accelerating parts wear and making it less controllable to shoot. It also greatly increases the rate at which the gun fouls up. It's not just bad for the gun. Every round fired sends a high-pressure jet of gas into your eyeballs, and after a string of fire, you'll be breathing in a cloud of toxic gas.
Oh, that was a wet one.
This is extremely bad for you. Regularly shooting suppressed can increase your lead levels and increase your risk of lung cancer. The US military was evidently very concerned about this and started asking suppressor companies to make a suppressor that doesn't cause cancer, except in the state of California, where everything causes cancer.
Fucker, you're dying of cancer, remember? You're dying of fucking cancer. Come on.
Suppressors work by slowing down the expansion of combustion gases from the cartridge. So instead of high pressure gas suddenly going bang at the muzzle, the gas boyoings all over the place inside the suppressor, expanding and cooling and coming out the end over a longer period. The easiest way to do that is put a wall in front of it. Traditional suppressor baffles are a series of cone-shaped walls that trap expanding gas and reflect it backwards, leading to all the unpleasantness described earlier. You can mitigate the problem by tuning your host gun with adjustable gas systems and heavier buffer weights. By keeping the action of the gun closed for longer during the recoil cycle, more of the gas will go out the front of the barrel instead of the back of the barrel where your face and eyes are. Of course, you can only do so much tuning because you still need the gun to cycle, and when it cycles, gas builds up around the ejection port, and then you're breathing a cocktail of lead and cancer instead of that delectable blend of oxygen and nitrogen we all need to continue to be alive. Flow-through and low back pressure cans use very complicated internal geometry to slow the expanding gas down without ever giving it a big flat wall to bounce off of. It's like substituting roundabouts for traffic lights. You residents of Bend, Oregon know what I'm talking about. There are already a bunch of these on the market. The one I have the most time on is this Huxworks 556K Flow, which has been living on my Munition Works Crane K11.5 for a while now. I don't have any gas tuning tricks in this rifle. The barrel has a somewhat conservative gas port with a pinned, low-profile, non-adjustable gas block, and the buffer system is an A5H0, which is equivalent in weight to a standard H buffer. The charging handle is a normal Radian Raptor, not even the SD version. When I let people shoot this gun, they're blown away. Or maybe they're the opposite of blown away. It shoots ridiculously soft for a suppressed gun with no tuning, and you can dump a mag without getting gassed out at all. No jet of gas to the eyeballs, no choking cloud of cancer to the face. The Hux 556K Flow is, to my knowledge, the closest thing to a zero back pressure can in the current crop of designs on the market. Most of the other reduced back pressure designs seem to accept a little more back pressure as a side effect of pursuing ultimate sound suppression. For example, SIG makes two low back pressure cans, the SLH and the SLX, which are supposed to have 50% and 70% less back pressure respectively. Crane's law tells us there has to be a downside to flow-through cans, so what about sound performance? Flow-through suppressors used to have a reputation for being extremely loud. Now they have a reputation for being kind of loud. Pew Science testing suggests that the Flow 556K is a lot louder at the muzzle than something like an Otter Creek Labs Polonium K, which is a similar weight and size. I happen to have both of these suppressors, and that definitely checks out. Pew's testing also suggests that the 556K is quieter at the shooter's ear than a Polonium K because the reduced back pressure results in less port pop. This makes sense to me, but it probably doesn't tell the whole story. First of all, you are probably always shooting pretty close to a surface, like a wall or just the ground, so the loud muzzle blast will bounce off of it and back into your ears. Second of all, my understanding is that Pew Science uses a deliberately untuned host weapon, so the added back pressure of the Polonium K is probably causing the action to unlock faster, resulting in greatly increased port pop. Tuning the gun at the gas system and or increasing the buffer weight will almost definitely reduce port pop by keeping the action closed longer. So my suspicion is that a traditional back pressure can on a tuned host will be quieter all around than a gun with the Hux Flow. All that being said, the decibel reduction is the last thing I care about when choosing a suppressor for a fighting rifle with supersonic ammunition. No matter what, you still need to wear your hearing protection, or I don't know man, just go deaf. Hearing damage is cumulative, so if you want to be able to watch TV without hearing aids when you're older, double up on plugs and muffs, even when shooting suppressed. When we're suppressing the 5.56 AR, we're going after signature reduction, which is about flash mitigation and masking the source of the gunshot. The 5.56K may not be the quietest K-can on the market, but the difference between the sound of a suppressed gunshot with any suppressor and the sound of an unsuppressed gunshot is pretty huge. As far as flash suppression goes, the Hux 5.56K performs pretty similar to a good high back pressure can of similar size and weight. A bit flashy on the first shot, followed by very consistent and minimal muzzle signature even on an 11.5. I do have a couple of minor complaints about the Hux 5.56K. I've used it on two Hux brand flash hiders, the one that it came with and a spare that I bought to put on review guns. The factory Hux flash hider has a really noticeable tuning fork ring to it. Also, my 5.56K flow gets stuck onto the flash hiders after just a few magazines and needs to be removed with a wrench. The Hux QD interface is threaded left-hand, however, so cranking on the can with a wrench will not cause your muzzle device to loosen up. I just installed the flash hiders with the normal amount of torque, no rock set or anything, and they have not moved on me at all. One of my range buddies swapped his Hux flash hider out for a muzzle brake made by Cobalt Kinetics, and it doesn't have those problems. No pinging, and the can does not get stuck. It's a very loud brake, but the Hux flash hider is extremely loud for a flash hider, so if you don't mind spending a little bit extra, I'd recommend the Cobalt brake for sure.
Stand by.
Okay, I'm gonna run out of ammo.
Lube to all tits. You should not feel chunky.
Well, but even dry, it feels the same.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying.
5.61, 9 shots.
You get dirt in that thing, it might be over.
It's fine. Nothing's melting. It's fine. Everything's fine, Luke.
Everything is fine.
One concern that always gets brought up with 3D printed suppressors is the cleaning schedule. You can get away with neglecting a traditional baffle can for a pretty long time. Performance may degrade, but nothing really bad happens. Huxworks recommends cleaning the flow after about 2,500 rounds. If you don't, again, nothing really bad happens. It keeps working, it just doesn't perform as well. I'm not sure how much of a negative this really is. YHM recommends cleaning their rifle suppressors after 2,000 to 3,000 rounds. Meanwhile, Otter Creek Labs says don't bother to clean the Polonium K until after 15,000 or more. Cleaning suppressors is a pain in the ass, but deliberately mistreating your expensive tools is not cool. So, I don't know, figure it out.
This thing is a little disgusting, Brock.
I'm telling Dane.
Overall, the Huxworks 5.56K flow is extremely impressive. I love this thing. I love shooting with it, which is not usually how I feel about suppressed guns. I hate going home from range day looking like a Dickensian coal orphan with my face spackled with droplets of burnt LSA and coughing like I've got the fucking TB.
100% flow-through technology brought to you by my impending facial cancer.
So, would I buy one? Probably not. Flow-through cans run about $1,000, so ballpark twice the cost of a traditional high backpressure suppressor. I wouldn't personally spend $1,000 on a suppressor. The only reason I have this one is because Huxworks sent it to me to review. At least for now, it seems like making low backpressure suppressors that don't suck is unavoidably expensive. Even Otter Creek Labs, who are known for making highly effective but affordable suppressors, released their own low backpressure can called the Infinity, and guess what? It's 3D printed and costs over $1,000. Even if price was no object, there is still a place for traditional high backpressure suppressors. Some hosts don't need a low backpressure can, like a bolt-action rifle or a 300 Blackout AR shooting subsonics, which probably won't cycle without that extra gas. Also, any application where you want maximum sound and signature reduction, like a hunting rifle, which will be shot exclusively without hearing protection, or if you're a straight-up G, willing to take a cloud of cancer to the face for God and country. Thanks, Slade. If you don't want to spend $1,000 on a suppressor, you can do this little trick where you buy a traditional suppressor and then take it off when you don't want to get gassed out. The only problem is, nobody likes getting gassed. So, are you ever going to put it on, or are you just going to let your expensive tube live in the range bag? If you want to really deep dive into flow-through suppressors, check out videos from Brassfax and Silencer Syndicate for lots of side-by-side comparisons. That's all we got for now. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to support the channel, you should, of course, subscribe, and you can also check out the links in the video description. See you guys next time.
Please stop.
Wait. How do you do that? That's like magic. I forget.
I can't fucking do it.
I forget Brock is like 26, so.
I'm what?
Yeah, like 26, right?
Yeah, 26.
Ladies, he's 26.
Fucking piece of shit is what he is.
Whoa!
Why would you say that about Brock? He's our friend.
No, he's not.